Hey guys, Vizak here again. I want to talk a bit about, the school system. And, you guys have probably already heard me talk about the school system, but not to this extent. So here we go again. Now, growing up, and as you guys know or might know, I learned a little bit differently from the other, from some other people do. You know what I mean? I kind of messed up that phrase there. Y'all have a drink. But man, sometimes I just wonder why we are continuing with the school system that we are now, and why sometimes nothing is being done about it. It really does make me sad. I'm taking off glasses. It really does make me sad. You know, it's actually kind of funny. I actually most of the time don't wear glasses. Lots of times, I only wear them when I'm like watching TV and stuff, or when I'm trying to look a little more smart on this channel. But you know, I'm nearsighted, by the way. So, yeah, man. The thing about the school system is that they aren't really there to teach. They're there to look good. And that's why they always have those children that they try to, put out there sometimes as the trophy child, as they call it, right? The trophy child. I always remember the trophy child. That's where, those trophy children are only there to make the teachers look good, like they actually teach something. But the reality is they don't really teach that much. Even especially after I got back out of homeschool and I went back to regular school, I was always basically just teaching myself. I mean, they might as well have just given me the homework and just sent me home. And it was a lot of homework, by the way. I don't know why these schools give so much fucking homework, because it doesn't help jack shit. I mean, it's just like, what's the point of even going to these schools? I mean, the main purpose of going to these schools is to, one, meet, I guess I would say, kind of be part of a social, system, to kind of learn how to be more social with other kids and people, basically. But the main purpose of going to a school is, getting an education. And these kids are not getting these educations from these schools like they're supposed to. And there are so many kids like myself who go through these schools and they are just treated like they're handicapped or something. You know what I mean? I remember when I was a kid, I was told that I couldn't do the same things as the other kids. I couldn't read properly. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. Well, when I left that school, suddenly my grades were going from an average of a D to an F. The only class I was really passing at the time was, like, I think math class, and I was at least getting a C to B in that class. But yeah, it went from like a D to F average to like a B to A average in like every class when I went to homeschool. And even then, a lot of the schools, they would not let me, go to the schools. And another thing, as I went on, with the school systems, especially after I got out of homeschool, is that these schools aren't really teaching like they're supposed to, in the sense that they're only teaching you how to have a good memory with things. All these tests that they give out and everything in their classes is just memory based. They aren't really teaching you jack. And that's another issue with all the homework. They're giving you so much fucking homework to do after you get done with your classes. And I remember talking to one kid who lives actually in a different town, and there's another one I talked to recently. He told me that a lot of these kids don't even do all of the homework because there's just so much fucking homework. I mean, why do you need to send these kids with so much fucking homework that they can't even do? I mean, they have I know they're kids, but they actually have other responsibilities and other things to do besides just fucking homework all the time. Plus, they're just fucking kids. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Even for young adults, we have other things to do, especially when we get older. We have more responsibilities as we get older, and you guys give us even more homework. I mean, to some degree, it does make sense to give us more homework, but at the same time, it's like I said, as we grow up, we get more responsibilities. And, we've got to kind of cut the cord at some point. We've got to let us go out sometimes and let us be free. And I understand another thing that they're trying to do sometimes with the school systems with all this homework is that they're trying to make it so you don't have the time to do anything else, so you can't do anything wrong when you're out and about with your regular lives. Now, this to some extent I at least get, but there's only one problem. You cannot stop these kids from doing whatever they want after they come out of school. You cannot make them do what you want. You cannot figuratively make them do what you want, and you cannot legally make them do what you want. These children are not your property. But in other developments, there is some at least good things about this school system, and not just regular schools, I mean. The good thing is that a lot of people are starting to move away from these schools. Because more and more so, these people are not learning what they need to learn from these schools. Which is why now these people are starting to go to other routes, rather than going through the traditional routes of going to school. And I kind of figured that this would happen at one point because whoever is running most of these schools does not care if your kids are getting proper education. They do not give a crap. And that is something that I had to learn the hard way when I was a teenager. They do not give a crap about your kids at all. Especially with what's going on nowadays with the pandemic, with all these kids not getting to go to school recently, which is just a bunch of bullshit as is. I mean, more and more people are, being taken in to, be homeschooled as, life moves on. And more people are going to online classes because these online classes are actually getting better and better. In fact, a lot of these online classes are given, stuff that you would typically learn in a college actually for much cheaper, much cheaper. I mean, still expensive, still a lot of hard work. But let me tell you, from what I've been seeing on some of these online classes, I think that they're doing a good thing, to be frank. I just do not agree with the current school system. I mean, I don't think I've ever really agreed with the school system, to be frank. The school system has never really been a perfect thing. In fact, over 100 years ago, like the Wright brothers actually didn't even go to a school, believe it or not. If you didn't know that, they didn't even go to school. You want to know why? Because one, going to a school back then was very competitive. And two, sometimes they felt that certain kids, if they had a certain skill, didn't need to go to school back in the day. So, while the Wright brothers were probably smart enough to go to school, they didn't get that chance to go to school. But guess what? They invented the airplane anyway. So who gives a fuck? Right? And that's one thing that I learned, again, after coming out of school, is that you don't necessarily have to always go to these schools to be successful. In fact, I've seen that lots of people actually tend to drop out of school and they still tend to do just fine. And in fact, that's actually almost what I did when I learned that I wasn't going to get to graduate due to a stupid ass point system between the Christian school and the regular school that I was going to. since the Christian school point system is different from the regular school systems. So yeah. What I did, of course, when I got out of high school is I went to college at DMAC and I got my GED from DMAC. Now, again, that's one thing that you might at least want is a GED. So, if you're going to go to college to get a GED, I would highly recommend that at least. Because you are not going to get much if you don't have a GED at least. You really are not. But anyway, like, I don't know, man. Like, man, the school system is just so fucking stupid. This whole system is just the work system. You know, the system in which they're, you know, putting you through these jobs sometimes. Like, so lots of times the system at work is even worse though than the school system. To be frank, you know, lots of times when you go into a workplace, it's like they just don't even want to fucking teach you anything. Like, you know, sometimes when you go to a factory, you know, all they care about is making parts and they don't want to teach you jack shit. And, you know, it's just hilarious the way the school system is. It really is. It's like a fucking joke. And I'm like 100% of proof of that. Like, the school system is just a fucking joke. And I just can't believe that, you know, people are just letting the system be like this. You know, the school system seriously needs to change from its traditional routes. And they're not changing. At least not a lot of schools are changing enough, that is. That being said, I guess I'll just end this video and stop talking about it. Because I could probably talk about it all frickin' day. But I'll just end it here. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.